Lover speaks to Yasmin Nicholas, 24-year-old artist and poet from Northwest London.
Hello.
Hi, thanks for coming down to see us today, Yasmin.
Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. We're very excited to speak to you and see the amazing work that you're doing. You're an amazing artist and poet. What age did you realise that you had a talent for art, and what inspired you?
For me, at first it was more poetry. So when I was younger, a lot younger, I used to write poems, especially within primary school and secondary school. And I just loved how you could just manipulate the English language and rhyme, And when it came for art, I think I noticed it more when I got into secondary school. I really started to enjoy it, but it wasn't actually the first subject that I was actually going to go for. I actually wanted to go into government and politics.
Oh, really?
And I thought, and then I actually got swayed into it. They were like, why don't you choose this for college,
Mm-hmm.
And it was a thing where, as much as I loved to do art, it wasn't completely the first choice. As soon as I got into college, I felt like everything about me started to change.
Mm-hmm.
And especially within university, I grew within myself. So I'd say probably around maybe 15, 16, I started to really get into doing art and, really thinking this could actually be something that I could venture into. But with poetry, it's been more or less all my life.
Really?
Yeah.
You've got a piece of work called I Know Who You Are.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that and what it means?
With that piece, it consists around the bond between mother and child. So it is one of my poems that starts off with the Creo language and then ventures into the English language. Mm-hmm. So it continues that pattern of mixing the two languages together. And what it basically signifies is rebirth as well, and the unknown. So a mother and her child not seeing each other yet, but having a kind of conversation, a dialogue, So this is a child's response back to the mother, basically. Mm-hmm. And what I loved about it is that when it was done, I also noticed that I think it was actually my goddaughter who was in her belly. But I noticed, I don't know if it was maybe an arm or something. I might have to ask my cousin just to see. But it seemed like maybe she was pushing maybe a little bit of her arm or a hand, maybe a foot, out. And I only noticed that afterwards. But I loved just the message behind it and the response I got back as well, because a lot of people, especially a lot of pregnant people, came back to me and basically saw us, and they felt like, oh my gosh, this is a wonderful way to do something like that, to put that bond between the mother and an unborn child together, to have such a dialogue between the two, and I loved it because it also brought the whole conversation of Creole to the forefront as well, because as I was saying, it's basically you being reborn in your mother tongue as well, you trying to learn it as well. So both of those, mother and child and mother tongue, language, it kind of ignited together. So I felt that really came at me and to the audience as a strong, poignant photo, basically. Yeah.
You have many unique art pieces which mix writing and poetry as well as art using Creo language.
Yeah.
Where has that influence come from?
So with the Creole language, it's been an influence from my grandparents as well. So growing up around first generation Dominican people, it was a thing where I heard it expressed a lot. And it was a thing where, as much as they didn't know how to write the language or read the language, it was more of a verbal thing for them.
Okay.
So it was something that was very interesting to me, in which I felt like, as much as having, displaying colourful insights of, the Caribbean and, how can I say it? it was a thing where I felt like behind the charade of, you know, carnival and just different other things of Caribbean culture, I felt like language is something that should be used as well and expressed. And with a language that still isn't seen as a proper language, you know, there's still a little bit of stigma behind it. I felt like it would be wonderful to take that and put it against a dominant language like English, to have it in the same room, you know. And it's just incredible with the kind of response that I've gotten back from it, because a lot of people don't know about the language, or people who are just getting in touch with their culture, you know, Dominican or St. Lucian or identity that has the Creole language, you know, they've gotten into it and they've been like, oh wow, you know. And with me, I'm still learning the language, you know, but having it in written word, accompanying that with English poetry, you know, it's something to look into, and it's just wonderful while I'm actually doing it, for me to learn certain words and learn certain meanings at the same time, and seeing the response and how the audience comes to it as well, you know.
So have you always had the confidence to embrace your culture within art and poetry? So at the beginning, have you always thought, okay, I'm going to put my culture into my art pieces? Has that always been there? Have you always had that confidence?
At the start, I didn't, because I think I was still finding myself. It was a thing where I was looking at different artists, and I can say even at the beginning of college, it was the thing where I only knew a few artists. Like one artist that I loved during secondary school was a man called Wadsworth Jarrell, in which he used to use Kool-Aid colours in his letters, while these letters created these faces, you know, and that just got me completely interested into using words within image, you know. And I think with looking into what he did, all the other artists like you know, Van Gogh and Picasso, and just, you know, the basic artists that everybody knows, not that they're basic, not like that, but just the most well-known artists that everybody knows. It was a thing where I looked at them, but then I started to look at somebody who had the same identity, you know, as me, and just started looking into more political art. And then that's when I started to find more black artists to look into, you know. And one that I learned about in college was called Keith Piper. And I got told that he would end up teaching in my university, and in 2 twos he ended up being my tutor.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, so I still talk to him even outside of uni, you know, call him Uncle Keith, you know, we'll just talk here and there, and he gives me good advice. He's a well-known established black artist within the 1980s as well. So it's really, really incredible person to talk to as well.
So you studied a degree in fine art and graduated in 2015. You've got an impressive portfolio of work since graduating from university, I must say. What challenges, if any, have you faced as a young black girl trying to get your art pieces shown and poetry heard?
With my artwork, it's been a thing where there's been a few galleries that have kind of, I don't know if I could use the word snubbed, but they've kind of just looked at it and they haven't really given me back a proper response back. And one particular gallery I went to in West London, I brought my artwork just to show them what kind of artwork I did. It was a thing where I just wanted to kind of start creating a network in which I could keep in contact with certain people. It was a thing where I didn't have a complete portfolio, but I just brought a few pictures along just to see. And I think because of the kind of work that I do, you know, it's got to do a lot with Caribbean culture. It wasn't so mainstream to them, and after a while, they looked at it and they were just like, you know, like, we'll call you back maybe around maybe October or something, you know, that kind of thing. It wasn't a straight response, not the response that I had hoped, you know, and it kind of left me a bit disheartened, but I thought, okay, do you know what? The next day I was supposed to go to Elizabeth James Gallery. So Elizabeth James is situated in South Norwood. I went down there and I got a completely different response, you know. Between her and her mother who were there, they were so grateful for me to bring down the work, to have a look at it. And even her mother started crying. I didn't know that my work had that kind of, you know, that response to people, you know, for people to be so tearful, you know. But that's what I got. And she was so happy because she felt that the work itself, it was so strong, you know. And I felt even more inspired to create a few more pieces like that, something that would really get in touch with the people, not even just Caribbean people, but everybody in general, you know, to look at things, to look at this mix of language, mix of culture, you know, and especially an identity, which is, you know, especially as me being third generation, somebody who has grown up around that kind of culture and has digested that into their work as not just claiming like identity in London, but just identity in my background as well, you know, and mixing both together, my English and, you know, my Caribbean identity.
So how do you feel black women are represented within the art industry and the media?
So with black women, we have more or less created this platform by ourselves. You know, I feel like we're not represented enough. We should be, you know, and with a lot of lovely organisations, you know, especially like when you hear of magazines, you know, and different groups like have you heard of Galdem? You know, magazines like that, and just different things, you know. I feel like, especially in Britain anyway, as well as America is just wow. You know, we have really come up with this kind of stuff because we've been so underrepresented. It's a thing where we felt like, okay, do you know what, we need to do it for ourselves. And you know, it's just such a wonderful outlook because you have a lot of younger black girls who are probably trying to figure out, you know, they're trying to figure out what they want to do and understand themselves at the same time, and you have wonderful role models, you know, and I would hope that I could be one, you know, and leave something in which I feel like, okay, with my poetry and my artwork, you know, it's something that will be left there and people can be like, you know, a lot of young black girls could be like, okay, I could really express myself in that type of way as well, you know, I shouldn't be afraid to what I want to do, you know, and I hope that is what is left behind in everything, you know, a lot of black girl organisations that are really putting it out there to be like, you need to know that you are great, you know, you should know that you are great, you are magical, you know.
I'm sure your artwork will have a positive impact on young black girls because you're doing some amazing things.
Thank you.
And you just need to keep continuing to do that, and no doubt have a positive impact on how young black girls are represented within the industry, within media as a whole. Which female black artists are you most influenced by and why?
There's quite a few. One that I really love is Carrie Mae Weems, and she is a black photographer from America, and I just loved how she took these pictures of, you know, black women on their daily life. You know, there's a piece of work that she did called Kitchen Series, and I loved how each scene, it was on like a kitchen table, and it was just basically the daily life of, you know, a woman either doing her work or having her family time, you know. And she did a few other pieces of work as well, just to do with you know, black culture and a few little political works as well. And There's another lady, as much as she's not black, she's actually Iranian, called Shirin Nishat. And what I loved about her is how she incorporated her calligraphy. It's not Arabic, she's Iranian. It would be, what was it, Farsi? It was like a Persian calligraphy anyway. And how I'm not too sure if it was actually written on the actual people or was actually written on the photographs, but it was something that really inspired me, because it almost came up like it was henna on her hands or on that person's feet or the face, you know. And it really, she does a lot of artwork to do with Muslim women, you know, and how they're perceived in the Middle East, you know. And it's just incredible work she does as well.
Yeah. Sadly, last year we lost an amazing British Gambian photographer, artist, Khadija Say, in the Grenfell Tower fire. And I know Grenfell is not far from the area where you live.
Yeah.
How do you think Khadija's legacy would have, what impact or influence will her work have on younger black women or young girls trying to develop within the industry?
I think with the type of work she did, it was wonderful, you know. You know, just giving an inside cultural perspective into her culture, you know. And I remember her, she used to go to my school, my secondary school. We weren't close, but we knew each other through like mutual friends, basically. So I knew of her, and it was really tragic to hear what happened, just because she seemed like she was at her prime, you know, when she, you know, she seemed like she had gotten discovered, you know. She was a great budding artist, you know. She was really getting out there, and that kind of beautiful work that she had, it was something that should always be looked on and, you know, never forgotten, because she was a brilliant artist, brilliant artist, you know.
So what advice would you give for young black female artists that want to get into the art industry, how to go about it?
I would say, you know, don't hold back, you know. Keep on creating. Like with me, I'm still creating. I have a lot to do, but it's something that if you're shot down by someone, whether it has to do with, you know, with how they perceive your artwork or anything, you know, don't just leave it at that. Keep on looking for any other outlets, even if you could see even if you're able to put yourself out there, even go to different galleries, just to make up little networks of people, you know, get friendly with certain gallery owners, you know, just to talk to them about what you do with your work. Try and see if you can go out to different meetings, you know, gallery exhibitions of different black artists as well, just to kind of get friendly with them and, you know, get in there and even just get a bit inspired at the same time, even when it comes to doing your work, and also just talking to people about what they do as well. With that would be the best thing to also start off with. And don't be afraid to elaborate on what you want to do. Don't stop yourself from doing something because you feel like it might either offend somebody or you feel like it might be too much for somebody, you know. Just be yourself. You know, be yourself, express yourself however you want to. You know, as a black woman, I feel like that is the most wonderful thing about us. We're able to express ourselves so freely, and it should be something that should be looked upon with wonder and excitement, you know, and not, you know, just left away just out of fear, you know. I feel like we should have no fault to, you know, to express ourselves, to express our feelings, you know, whether it's through music or art or anything else, to be honest, you know. We are wonderful human beings.
Because there's many young black girls that will lack self-confidence. They will lack, self-esteem to do and go and follow their dreams.
Yeah.
So that advice there would be great for them.
That is, with me, even like there's times where I've lacked confidence because I feel like I don't know, how to feel about certain things, or it's, to be honest, it's anybody who says otherwise would be lying to you. I feel like there's a lot sometimes that we have to take on, and it's a thing where you have to sit back and think to yourself, okay, what is the main reason why I'm doing this? Why am I doing this again?
Mm-hmm.
It's something in which you have to be thinking to yourself, okay, this is what I want to do. I know why I want to do it, and I'm going to do it.
Yeah. So you've done an exhibition show at the Elizabeth James Gallery last year in October.
Yeah. I was part of a group exhibition.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Thank you.
And you've got another one coming up in Elizabeth James next week.
Yeah.
But this is a solo one on your own, private one. How do you feel about that? How amazing is this for you?
I feel pretty excited, a bit scared as well, but I feel quite excited because at first I felt it was something that maybe I ventured into a bit too quick, but I felt like this is something in which I know that life is too short. I just want to see how everything will pan out for me, I feel like I've been preparing this. I've written this all down in writing from a few years back, and I've spoken it into an existence, and people have told me to speak it into existence, and I've spoken it, and then to see the actual words of the title of what I wanted in actual words and on a leaflet, that speaks volume to me. It's something in which I felt like, okay, I have spoken it into existence. It's not a thing where I've just been like, okay, I'm just going to do this and then that's it. I've actually wanted to do this. I've created writing just to help build up for what I want to do, and I feel that I hope it really goes well. I try to plan as well as I can, and I'm just excited to see how things will turn out. It's going to be a long journey. When it comes for art, it's going to be a very long journey. It's a thing where you're going to have setbacks. You're going to have people knocking you down. You're also going to have times where you've got, a blockage of what you want to create. And that's happened to me quite a few times due to personal reasons and lack of confidence as well. And it's a thing where sometimes you just have to think to yourself, do you know what? You know why you're doing it for a reason. And I feel like with somebody as wonderful as Elizabeth James as well, somebody who could talk to you and really get to you, in which you really start to understand yourself a lot more. You start to feel like, okay, do you know what? I know that I can be the best that I can be, And after a while, it was a thing where I felt, okay, I know that I can do well. Everybody else who is rooting for me loves me and knows that I can do well. And I need to know that in myself, and that's what I've done,
Brilliant. Which is your most favourite art pieces that you've done today, up to now, and why?
Okay, so the one I love the most, I've treasured, weirdly enough, I don't know why, but it's, I think it is I Know Who You Are. I love that piece so much because it was a piece that I was planning for a little while, because I was thinking, okay, I really want to do a poem on a pregnant woman's belly, and I thought it sounds weird like that, but I was just like, I really think this poem would look really lovely on a pregnant lady's belly, and I thought, I don't know who's pregnant at the moment, and then it was a thing where a few months down, my cousin was pregnant, and I thought, you know what, this would be such a lovely way for this new life, to be involved in my artwork as well. And she's my goddaughter at the same time, so I felt like it was so wonderful to include her in the piece. And when we did it, I literally just had a backdrop. I had my light boxes,
Yeah.
you know, and I had my my camera, and I thought, okay, do you know what? I'll try to edit it a little bit, but I thought these pictures are going to come out wonderfully by itself, and that is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel I did so many pictures because it ended up being like a mini maternity shoot afterwards, and I looked at all these pictures and I felt such a certain way in which I felt like, oh my goodness, this is like my own ode to this baby, and this baby's ode back to me at the same time. And it was so beautiful creating that work and introducing the Creole language into that as well. You know, as much as I had other pieces that I did with it, it was a thing where I think it stood out the most because of the message it was putting out as well.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so lovely to do, you know.
It's amazing. And what response have you had from that piece of work?
So a lot of people, especially like a lot of pregnancy, you know, pregnant people, they've replied back in which they've been like, oh, you know, this is wonderful, you know. Like one pregnant lady that I know right now, she was just like, she thinks that piece is just wonderful, just to commemorate of what the baby would be thinking, you know. And yeah, that's I've gotten a few responses here and there, a few people who would like prints as well, and I would hopefully create some prints for that picture. At the moment I haven't, but it's a thing where I got a lot of response back for that piece, especially that piece.
So where are you selling? Are you selling your work at the moment?
At the moment, I'm not, but I will sell a few prints at the Elizabeth James Gallery. So I'll have a few prices up, and on certain pieces of artwork, they will be sold. Basically.
So where can we find your social media accounts? Do you have a website? You know, where can we find you?
Yeah. So my website is yasminnicholas.com, and you can find me on Instagram at What Yasmin Does. I have Twitter, as much as I don't really like Twitter. I do have a Twitter, and I've tried to jazz it up a little bit more as the exhibition's coming. So it just come up, I think it's under Yasmin Nicholas. If it's not, I'll rectify it anyway. But definitely on Instagram, it's at What Yasmin Does.
Okay.
So yeah.
Brilliant. You're following your dreams. What advice would you give to others?
Don't give up. Don't give up. Think about why you're doing it as well. Don't do it in the interest of what other people might say, or don't give up because of what other people might say. Because I got a lot of people saying, oh, you know, this is art, you know, what are you going to do with art? And even there's been times where I've had a few doubts, but it's a thing where if you keep listening to that kind of thing, you're not going to go anywhere. You're just going to be like, okay, do you know what? Maybe it's not for me. Oh my gosh, maybe, you know, maybe I can't have an art career because it's non-existent. And, you know, you have a lot of people who say that. And, you know, it's a thing where sometimes you just have to prove people wrong. Because as much as I got told about, you know, about me not being able to get out there and not really do anything, you know, now I've spoken it into existence. I have my own solo show next week, you know, and that's something that I myself didn't think would be coming, you know. And I feel like when it comes to us black girls, we need to really kind of like, we have to accept ourselves as being such wonderful people to create certain things. You know, you have a lot of singers, you have so many different people in the industry that are out there, and sometimes some of them you can look up to and you can really be like, okay, do you know what? It's not a thing where I want to be you, but I am very inspired by you. And I feel like with these type of role models, you know, within the industry, I feel like if it's a thing where they keep putting out a lot more positive vibes to these younger children as well, not just younger black girls, but younger black children as well, they will get a very positive outcome, because then you'll get a whole load of children who grow into women who are so confident in what they want to do. You know, I feel like as a young girl, I was such a nervous wreck. There's times where I am as well, but it's a thing where I felt such a way. I didn't feel like there was such a, how can I explain it? I didn't feel like there was such a great audience to look at for me as to grow up and feel secure in myself, you know. And I feel like there is now, and I feel with a lot of black girls, they have people to look up to. A lot of, you know, as I said before earlier on, we've more or less created that platform for ourselves, you know.
So what does the future hold for Yasmin Nicholas? What are your future plans and goals?
I would love to exhibit one day, even if it's one day in my entire life, to exhibit at the Tate Modern. I would love it. Even if I was in a group show, I would love it. I'd be so happy. That is the one place I would love to exhibit, you know. And it's a thing where I feel like if I keep on speaking to existence, it might happen, you know. And I feel a lot more. There's so many brilliant black artists, women and men, you know, that are out there, and I feel like we should be represented so much, you know. Should be so much more representation in that, you know. And in the Tate you have a mix of people, but I feel like there needs to be a lot more black artists in there, you know.
So what are you going to do to get there? What are your plans? What are you going to do to get to that big dream, that goal?
Well, for me, I'm just going to keep on creating my artwork. As I said before, I'm still an artist who's still developing. I'm still finding myself, you know. I can't completely say to everybody out there, like, oh, you know, I'm not there at all. Not at all, you know. I'm still developing as an artist. I'm still trying to find myself as a person as well, you know. I'm still trying to build up a good portfolio, a good body of work, you know. But I feel like at the same time, start with what you have and just keep continuing, you know, as much as you, even if you have a little bit or anything, you know, don't be afraid to show out what you have as well, but keep on continuing, keep on being you, and don't lose the essence of yourself at the same time.
Thank you. So, Yasmin, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. It's been our honour. It's been a pleasure. You know, we are just all about empowering our black women, black girls, and we really wanted to speak to you to find out the amazing work you're doing and how you can inspire others and just give you some recognition, because we think you're brilliant. You're a real positive role model within our community, for the younger generation, for the elders as well. And we think you're doing great things, and we'll be following you all the way to the Tate.
I hope so. Thank you. So, do you feel more comfortable speaking in Creole or English, and why?
Que moi, ça notre conversation créole, c'est pas toi. Mon état moi, c'est mon palais. Mon sensibilité, mon adhérence aussi. C'est pour ça qu'on décide si mon palais.
Yasmin, how are you feeling today? You've had an amazing exhibition. Everyone's coming out to support you.
I've been a little bit nervous, but it's been brilliant. It's come out very well as well. So I'm just so happy about how, when you visualize certain things in your head, like certain artwork pieces that you've done, and you feel like, oh, has it been enough? How will it look on the walls? And when you see it actually on the wall, it's just everything, and it all comes together, and I've had so much fun. There's been times where there's a bit of tears, trying to complete stuff, but it's been all worth it, and I'm so excited for the future.
So how are you pleased with the turnout? I see that you was with the High Commission of the Republic.
Yeah.
She came down to see you. You was really pleased about that.
Very. I was. Do you know what is the thing where I wasn't too sure if she was going to come or not?
Yeah.
And there's a thing where she was deciding here back and forth. So I was just like, okay, hopefully she makes her way. I was trying to call the High Commission just to make sure, and they told me that she's coming, and I was delighted to see her today. And she's ready to talk to me about different plans and things that she wants to do with some of my artwork and stuff like that. And what I've taken in as well, as much as it's been my exhibition, I've taken in people's interests of how certain things that I could do and everything, because it's still a bit of critique, but it's good critique because it makes you become a better artist as well. So I'm just really excited for the future.
You got your notepad ready for all the...
Yes, I've got new project plans already, so that's on to the next.
We can't wait to see what you're doing next. I'm really proud of you.
Thank
it's been an amazing turnout, and just keep doing what you're doing because you are amazing.
Thank you.
Your work is beautiful, and I can see you're you're in front of your favourite.
My favourite piece,
isn't it?
Favourite piece,
It looks really good in the big print.
Yeah, it's a really big, very, very big piece, But unfortunately, the muse isn't here today. But her piece stands out very, 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 very much. And every time I see it, it makes me feel happy because I feel like this piece was kind of like the start of me doing, like going a bit further with the language as well as, I was doing poetry before, way before with other pieces, but when I actually did this piece, I don't know, I feel like I connected so well with it because I felt like this was the start of something big, and as you can tell, it's new life, and I feel like it gave me new life,
Definitely.
on what to do next. So I'm just very excited, very, very excited. What's to come?
We're rooting for you, and we'll be there every step of the way.
Thank you.
Thank you.